Deep within the vast wilderness of national parks lies a haunting mystery, disappearances that defy all logic. Dubbed Missing 411, these cases involve hikers, campers, and adventurers who vanish without a trace, often leaving behind only cryptic clues, or sometimes nothing at all. Step into the shadows of the world's most beautiful and mysterious places, where the line between the ordinary and the unexplainable begins to blur. Tom Messick, 2015. In November 2015, the Adirondack Mountains were preparing for winter. The dense forests, with their rugged terrain and snow-dusted trails, created the perfect backdrop for seasoned hunters. Among them was 82-year-old Thomas Tom Messick Sr., a man whose love for the wilderness spanned decades. A former U.S. Army paratrooper, husband, father, and grandfather, Tom was an outdoorsman through and through. But on November 15, 2015, during what should have been a routine hunting trip near Brant Lake, New York, Tom vanished without a trace, leaving behind a mystery that has puzzled searchers, investigators, and his family to this day. Tom Messick was no stranger to the challenges of the wild. Despite partial blindness in his right eye, hearing loss, and a history of heart issues, his years of experience made him confident in the woods. On that fateful day, Tom joined a group of 6 hunting companions, including close friends and family. The group decided to hunt near Lily Pond in the Lake George Wild Forest, an area unfamiliar to them but considered a promising hunting ground. Their plan was simple, a standard watch and drive strategy. Tom and 3 other older hunters would act as watchers, sitting quietly along a ridge near a logging road, waiting for deer to be flushed out by the younger drivers, moving through the woods. Tom, equipped with his rifle and a walkie-talkie, positioned himself about 40 yards from the road. The group planned to regroup around 2 p.m. as they always did, but when the group reconvened, Tom was missing. At first, they assumed he'd wandered slightly off his spot. The area was dense but manageable, and Tom was experienced enough to stay oriented. However, when they called out to him, there was no response, not even a rustle in the brush. By 4:30 p.m., with daylight fading, the group contacted the authorities. The search for Tom Messick was swift and extensive. Over the next several weeks, more than 300 searchers scoured the woods. Helicopters buzzed overhead, search dogs sniffed every trail, and divers explored the nearby ponds and streams. The area was rugged but not insurmountable for someone of Tom's experience. Yet the search yielded nothing, not a single piece of evidence. No footprints, no discarded items, no signs of a struggle. It was as though Tom had vanished into thin air. The lack of evidence baffled searchers and investigators alike. Tom had a rifle, a walkie-talkie, and a whistle, tools that should have made him detectable in some way. Search dogs, which often pick up even the faintest traces of scent, found no trail to follow. To make matters more perplexing, Tom had been stationed just 40 yards from the road, a mere 120 feet from a known point of reference. How could someone disappear so completely in such a short distance? Theories soon began to swirl. Some suggested that Tom had suffered a medical emergency, such as a heart attack or stroke, and collapsed in an area that searchers had overlooked. However, even this didn't explain the complete absence of his belongings, or any trace of his body. Others speculated about foul play. Could someone have approached Tom on the ridge, leading to a confrontation? This theory was bolstered by the eerie silence surrounding his disappearance. Tom had a walkie-talkie, yet he made no attempt to radio for help. If he'd encountered trouble, wouldn't he have tried to alert his group? Still, there was no evidence of a struggle, No signs of other individuals in the area, and no witnesses to corroborate this possibility. Another theory pointed to wildlife. The Adirondacks are home to black bears, but attacks on humans are exceedingly rare. Even if an animal had been involved, there would likely have been evidence, shredded clothing, tracks, or bloodstains. Yet searchers found none. As the weeks turned into months, the investigation grew colder. The FBI became involved, an unusual step that raised eyebrows. Some speculated that the federal agency's involvement hinted at a larger, more sinister explanation. However, the FBI has remained tight-lipped about their findings, fueling conspiracy theories ranging from covert government activity to encounters with unknown forces. Tom's family, meanwhile, was left to grapple with the unbearable uncertainty of his fate. His wife, children, and grandchildren described him as a man who valued his independence and had a deep respect for the wilderness. They struggled to reconcile his disappearance with the person they knew, a cautious, experienced outdoorsman who wouldn't have ventured recklessly into danger. To this day, the disappearance of Tom Messick remains one of the most perplexing cases in the Adirondack Mountains. Each theory, accident, foul play, wildlife, or something more extraordinary, raises more questions than it answers. What happened to Tom in those silent woods on that November afternoon? Why was there no evidence, no clues, and no trail to follow? The case stands as a haunting reminder of the mysteries that can unfold in even the most familiar settings. For the Messick family and the searchers who spent weeks combing the forest, the hope for answers endures, though the forest has kept its secrets well. If you have any information, no matter how small, please contact the New York State Police. Tom Messick's story deserves closure for his family, his friends, and everyone who wonders how a man can simply disappear without a trace. Barbara Cotton, North Dakota's quiet plains and small towns, have seen their share of beauty and heartbreak. But in 1981, a chilling mystery unfolded in the town of Williston, near Theodore Roosevelt National Park. A 15-year-old girl named Barbara Cotton vanished, without a trace, during what should have been an ordinary evening walk. Decades later, her disappearance remains one of North Dakota's most haunting cold cases. This is the story of Barbara Cotton. Barbara Louise Cotton was born on November 10, 1965, and lived in Williston, North Dakota. A typical 15-year-old, Barbara was quiet, independent, and had her own dreams of the future. She worked at a local restaurant, the Country Kitchen, and had plans to move into an apartment with her best friend Diane as soon as she turned 16. On April 11, 1981, Barbara had dinner with her boyfriend and another friend at a local restaurant. After their meal, Barbara declined her boyfriend's offer to walk her home, insisting she would be fine on her own. She was last seen walking near Recreation Park in Williston, heading toward her house. But Barbara never made it home. Barbara's mother, Louise Cotton, immediately reported her missing when she didn't return that night. The police launched an investigation, but no trace of Barbara was ever found. Her belongings, including her glasses and an uncollected paycheck from work, were left untouched, suggesting she hadn't planned to run away. The lack of physical evidence left investigators baffled. Over the years, several theories have emerged. Some speculated that Barbara may have been abducted by someone she knew, while others suggested a random act of violence. Witnesses came forward with conflicting accounts, but no leads ever panned out. Barbara's disappearance has cast a long shadow over the Williston community. Her case remains open, and age-progressed images of Barbara have been released in hopes that someone, somewhere, might recognize her. But for her family, the pain of not knowing what happened has been a lifelong burden. How does a young girl vanish without a trace in a small, close-knit community? Did Barbara cross paths with the wrong person that night? Or did something more sinister occur? The questions remain, but the answers have eluded everyone for more than 40 years. Paula Weldon, 18-year-old Paula Jean Weldon, a bright and adventurous college student, vanished without a trace. Decades later, her story is still shrouded in speculation and strange phenomena, earning its place in the legends of the Bennington Triangle. This is the haunting mystery of Paula Weldon. Paula Jean Weldon was the eldest of 4 daughters, born on October 19, 1928, to a well-off family in Connecticut. Intelligent and full of curiosity, she enrolled at Bennington College in Vermont, majoring in art with dreams of becoming a designer. Described as independent yet approachable, Paula had a love for the outdoors. She was known for her spontaneous spirit, which on December 1, 1946, would lead her on a journey from which she would never return. It was a typical Sunday afternoon in the quiet town of Bennington. Paula, restless from studying, decided to take advantage of the mild weather by hiking a portion of the long trail, a 272-mile stretch through Vermont's wilderness. Dressed in a red parka, blue jeans, and sneakers, Paula wasn't fully equipped for a long hike or the freezing temperatures forecasted for the night. She left her dorm around 2:45 p.m., telling her roommate she might be late getting back, but giving no indication of concern. Hitchhiking was common at the time, and Paula caught a ride with a contractor who dropped her off near Woodford Hollow around 4 p.m. Several witnesses reported seeing Paula that afternoon. A group of hikers recalled her heading toward the trail alone. She was cheerful and unbothered, enjoying the fresh air and scenic views. One witness, an elderly man who lived near the trailhead, claimed he saw Paula walking further into the woods as the sun dipped below the horizon. These were the last confirmed sightings of Paula Weldon. By nightfall, darkness enveloped the long trail and temperatures plummeted. Paula never returned to her dormitory, and the following day, panic set in. Paula's disappearance triggered one of Vermont's most extensive manhunts. When her worried roommate alerted the college, the authorities were notified, and search parties sprang into action. Volunteers, including Bennington students, locals, and even military personnel, scoured the trail and surrounding forests. Despite their efforts, no physical evidence of Paula, no clothing, footprints, or belongings was ever found. The search dogs picked up no trace, and the dense wilderness seemed to swallow every clue. Paula's case became the most famous of a series of mysterious disappearances in what is now known as the Bennington Triangle. Between 1945 and 1950, 5 people vanished under bizarre circumstances in this region. The lack of evidence in each case has led to wild theories, some involving accidents or foul play and others venturing into the paranormal. Paula's bright red jacket, a color that should have been easily spotted in the woods, added another layer of oddity. How could someone simply vanish without a trace in a place so seemingly ordinary? The disappearance of Paula Weldon devastated her family. Her father, Archibald Weldon, became a central figure in the search, even hiring psychics in desperation. Some locals whispered about foul play, speculating that Paula may have been abducted by someone she encountered on the trail. Other theories suggested she fell victim to the harsh terrain, possibly slipping into a hidden crevice or a rushing stream. Yet without evidence, the truth remained elusive. Paula's disappearance exposed glaring flaws in Vermont's ability to handle missing persons cases at the time. Frustrated by the lack of a centralized police force, her father pushed for reforms. In 1947, The Vermont State Police were established, a direct result of Paula's case. But for the Weldon family, the changes came too late. Decades later, the mystery of Paula Jean Weldon still lingers, as does the haunting silence of the long trail where she disappeared. Brandon Swanson. The peaceful rural landscapes of Minnesota are often serene and picturesque, but on the night of May 14, 2008, they became the backdrop for a chilling and unsolved mystery. 19-year-old Brandon Swanson disappeared after his car became stuck in a ditch, leaving behind nothing but a cryptic phone call and a series of unanswered questions. This is the story of Brandon Swanson. Brandon Swanson was a 19-year-old college student studying wind energy at Minnesota West Community and Technical College. Described as responsible, kind-hearted, and intelligent, Brandon had a close bond with his parents, Brian and Annette Swanson, and was looking forward to a bright future. On the night of May 13, 2008, Brandon attended two parties celebrating the end of the semester. Around midnight, he left the second party in Canby, Minnesota to drive home to Marshall, about 30 miles away. It was a drive he'd taken many times before, but something went terribly wrong. At 1:15 a.m., Brandon's car became stuck in a ditch on a gravel road. Unable to free it, Brandon called his parents for help. He told them he believed he was near Lind, a small town along his route. Brandon stayed on the phone with his father, describing his surroundings as he tried to walk toward the lights of what he thought was Lind. For nearly 45 minutes, he and his father discussed where they might meet, but they couldn't seem to find each other. Then at 2:30 a.m., Brandon's tone suddenly shifted. His final words, "Oh, shit," were followed by silence. The call disconnected, and despite his parents' frantic attempts, they were unable to reach him again. By morning, Brandon's parents reported him missing, and the search began. His car was located about 20 miles away from where he thought he was, near Taunton, Minnesota, far from Lind. The area was a mix of open fields, drainage ditches, and sparse woods. Search dogs were brought in, and they followed Brandon's scent for several miles along the road and into a field, eventually stopping at the edge of the Yellow Medicine River. But no further trace of Brandon was found. Brandon's disappearance has sparked numerous theories. Some believe he accidentally fell into the river and drowned, though extensive searches of the water yielded no results. Others suggest he may have succumbed to hypothermia after wandering the fields in the chilly Minnesota night. However, his cryptic last words, "Oh, shit," have fueled speculation of foul play. Could Brandon have encountered someone or something that caused him to vanish so suddenly? In the wake of their son's disappearance, Brandon's parents became advocates for missing persons. Their efforts led to the passage of Brandon's Law in Minnesota, requiring law enforcement to begin searches for missing adults without delay. Though they've tirelessly searched for answers, Brandon's family continues to live with the pain of not knowing what happened that night.